the morning show.
Yeah.
The Big Show with Glenn and Angel on Kiss 92.
Good morning.
Sometimes getting out of bed in the morning is a lot to deal with all at once.
She's back, and this time I'm around because I missed her the last time. So happy to have with us this morning Minister Josephine Teo, Minister for Digital Development and Information, and Minister in charge of Smart Nation and Cybersecurity. Welcome, Minister.
Good morning, Minister Teo. What a lot you have under your belt.
Okay, that says, okay, go lose some weight.
No, oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, Angel.
No,
Because
don't
of
worry
your
about
introduction. Because of your introduction. No, but today we are putting aside all the politics and all the policies and everything else because it is International Women's Month.
Yes, absolutely.
We wanted you in for International Women's Day, but being so busy, we're glad we could get you in the middle of the month to talk about being a strong woman, both at work and at home.
I look forward to our conversation.
I thought you said not going to talk about work. So, Minister is already so busy. I'm trying to give her a break.
Okay, let's just talk about
from
it at
talking
home.
about work. Yeah, just casual chit chat this morning.
Sure. Okay, so you have 3 grown children. Should I say 3 grown adults? What do you think your challenges have been bringing them up? With your work that you do as well, and making sure that you balance your portfolio in inverted commas as a mother as well.
Ooh, wow. Where do I begin? I think, like all working moms, you're bound to feel very guilty. You're not, kind of always feel you're not there enough for your kids. And then when you do get to spend a little bit more time with the kids, and then you're thinking about your work, and you say, oh, my team needs me. We have always got this great big, sense of responsibility towards everyone. I think that's very, very common, very shared experience among working moms. So that's nothing unusual about it, and there is no easy way to cope. And it's just, some of us are incredibly blessed.
Yeah.
And like with great husbands, and then actually everyone else in the families do chip in.
Right.
Like in my case, my mom-in-law was incredible. So was my mom. I was very touched, especially with my mom-in-law, because she had raised 7 children of her own, and then she had looked after at least half a dozen grandchildren. So when it came to our kids, I think she's really done. But my dad-in-law, when he was with us, he gave her a nudge and said, you've got to help them out. And then she couldn't resist. My mom too. My mom really said to me, wow, when I think about it, I still can't quite get over it. She said, your generation has the kind of opportunities that my generation did not have. So I want you to have it. Oh, yeah. That was then.
Still puts chills, huh?
For sure.
Yeah.
I've seen a photo of you and your family.
Which one?
A throwback. Which year was that?
Quite a while. I mean, the kids were still quite small.
Yeah, such a beautiful picture. Was it a black and white photo?
It's not that long ago.
No. Sorry.
Not that long ago.
But I mean, your kids are all grown up now. They're in
Yes,
their 20s.
I'm a tax collecting parent.
Nice.
Home already now.
Yeah, can say like that lah.
Right.
Yeah, can say like that.
I have to say, I wanted to say one thing. Back, this photo.
Right.
Your husband, handsome guy.
Not bad lah.
I was
Got
looking.
fight with you got
my.
fight. Yeah.
I was
His
about to,
glasses different from your glasses. Yeah.
I was about to say, looks like me when I was younger.
Oh, I see.
You got good taste in men then.
Okay, one more question before we play a song. Now, what are the challenges you face balancing being a mother and a minister?
Well, I chose public life, but it's not the case for my family. And then sometimes, I don't want my children to not know Singapore in its truest sense. So I do love hawker food. I do love going for my zi cha, I do love going to all the places that Singaporeans go to. The only slight problem is that if I do go with my family, sometimes people are excited to see me. They want to, I think, taking pictures, all this, we really have great fun doing that. There will be some occasions where we are like kind of in a quiet conversation.
Okay.
And the excitement overtakes people. And I always feel quite bad towards my family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like they were hoping for a quiet breakfast with me. And then I couldn't give that to them. So that makes it, that's just that little bit that, occasionally makes it a bit harder. Because otherwise, then where else can I go with my family?
Yeah.
Then you also don't want to just go to places where there's no one.
Yeah.
I mean, the fabric of life in Singapore, you do want to be able to enjoy it. So I think that's just one of those rare occasions where you kind of feel a little bit like, I'm so sorry, dear,
Yeah.
that this got imposed on you too. Though people don't mean harm.
Of
They
course.
certainly don't mean to disrupt you, but they just got excited.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very natural, right?
And especially these days. I mean, they see you, they're like, Minister, can I have a photo with you?
No
And,
problem. I love taking photos
Yeah.
with my residents and non-residents too. Yeah. So I kind of like try and see whether there's a slot, like very early. Okay, the store has just opened.
You get in there.
And no one is there yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we are speaking to Minister Josephine Teo today on The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Up next, Cyril featuring Keita Alexander. This is True on Kiss 92.
So, Minister Teo, we always see you out in public, like you were just saying, with your residents in Parliament, on TV, in the newspapers, everywhere, online, and all that. But what is Minister Josephine Teo, or who is Minister Josephine Teo as a mom? Take all that away. What is it you like doing most with your family?
Confession, when the kids were little, activity I enjoyed most was watching them sleep.
Oh,
Yeah.
they must have been very little then.
Actually, sometimes I still enjoy watching my kids sleep. Maybe they don't realize it. Yeah.
It's calming for you. It's,
Oh, very,
They're
very.
at peace.
I'm
You're at peace as well.
They're not running around. No, this was when they were kids.
Yeah.
Then nothing very special. I mean, it used to be that when I was on vacation, I was very silly. I like to do stuff that I didn't get a chance to do for my family. Like I'd love to do the laundry. It's crazy, right?
Okay.
Until one day my friend scolded me. She says, "Are you mad? Why you go on holiday and then you do laundry?" I said, "No, I feel like I am of service to my family. Just dumping the clothes into the washing machine."
Just the little things,
Just
right?
a little- I actually still quite often do laundry on vacation. And then when they were littler, they weren't used to other kinds of foods. Then one of the regular things that we would do is supermarket, and then buy stuff. And I used to do quite a bit of cooking,
Okay.
on vacation. But that was then. Now, after being scolded by my friend, okay, I'm not doing that anymore.
But do you enjoy? You enjoy cooking?
Yeah, not so much now because the time is really constrained. I went through my baking phase too. Yeah, there was one period where again it's all this. It's very often driven by guilt. Really, it's like, I do nothing for my kids. Let me try and do baking, and then so there was this period that I did a bit of baking. I think I was not good at it.
No,
So
baking is hard.
Yeah. So I say, okay, this ain't gonna work.
So what are some of the traditions or rules you have at home, at least, or maybe even when you're bringing the kids up?
So I remember once saying to my helper, please don't keep all their toys for them. It's not a good thing. And I said to my helper, I empower you. If they, make a mess of the room, you are empowered to tell them to clean it up.
Okay.
And you're empowered to tell them to keep their own toys. And then as they were growing up, it got to the stage where I say, you make your own bed. So I'm really very pleased that even now they make their own beds, which is, you kind of think, it's just a very simple thing to do, right? Make it a habit.
It's a good habit to instill as well.
Yeah, so I have no trouble, I don't walk around and peer into the rooms and say, "Oh, so messy." Yeah, so
I think you're like a lot of moms. I mean, you're a working mom. You had not as much time as you would have liked to with your kids growing up. Being
most
there for
working
them,
moms are like that,
right? You feel you have that mom guilt and all that, and then you have the helper that looks after the children.
The real mom,
the surrogate sort of mom.
No, my helper has been with me 27 years.
As old as your
Son.
as long as your son has been around.
My son, when he was 2 months old, Carmen has been with us.
Wow. So how do you draw that line between discipline, like you were saying, you empower your helper to say, go clean up your room, and overstepping that boundary? You know what I mean? Because I see a lot of helpers, in the playground and all that, and they're scolding the kids or something like that. But you don't necessarily know whether the parents have said it's okay.
Yeah, I was really very blessed. You see, when Carmen started working with us those 27 years ago, I asked her what she used to do. And actually back home, she had worked in a factory before.
Okay.
And she was very used to being a manager. So I thought to myself, oh, I got lucky. Here is someone who, has initiative. Here's someone who, is interested to be a contributing member of a team, whatever.
So they manage the household.
Yeah.
Almost, right? Yeah.
So I found that she's actually very capable. And over time, I could observe for myself that she really loved the kids to bits. And so I got really lucky.
27 years is a long time to help her.
Yeah. Let's digress a little bit.
Okay.
We've got a bit of time, right?
Yeah.
So I was talking with my friend the other day, and we were talking about Singapore women.
Oh.
How far they've come. No.
Okay.
But really.
Good thing.
Right? I mean, look, we belong to Gen X.
Yeah.
Right? But you talk about, maybe the millennials right now. I think they're different in terms of their thinking from, let's say, the Gen Xers. In fact, one of my friends said, it's very difficult to date a Singapore girl. It's very hard to please them,
Okay.
And I said, okay, I'm going to discuss this with, with my team and see whether everyone feels the same way.
Okay.
So I'm bringing it up right now.
Angel.
What do you think? Do you have friends who talk about this as well? And Minister, do you feel like women have changed in terms of their outlook compared to
For sure. Society
our
has
time?
changed. Society has changed. Women have changed. Men have changed. Expectations are entirely different today. Yeah. Sometimes, for a whole lot of good, For example, Glenn, when I started working, you know what we struggle with?
What?
High heel shoes.
And now it's just sneakers and flats.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
I don't
goodness.
see my daughters going to work in high heels
Thank
at all.
goodness.
So
Thank
comfortable
goodness.
now, right?
Yeah.
Because high heels is like so painful after
so
an
bad for the
entire
feet.
day.
You tried
Yeah.
before, huh? Glenn?
I tried one time also. Yeah. I think it was a challenge. Glenn, try walking in these high heels. I'm like, oh my god, I almost broke my ankle.
It's the worst. It's the worst. I mean, I'm so like you mentioned. I'm so glad that sneakers have come into fashion.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how long they will last.
I don't
because it
know.
always
Yeah.
repeats itself, right?
I don't mean to trivialize the changes. I think this is just one small example, but it's actually reflective of a broader shift.
Okay.
Broader shift where, there is acceptance that women can be good in a whole variety of things.
Right. Okay, hold on,
And-
Minister. We'll go back on air and continue this conversation.
No problem.
We'll bring it up again, okay?
Kiss 92 traffic.
All right, on the KJE towards the PIE, a vehicle's broken down after Woodlands Road exit. And on the CTE towards the SLE after the AYE entrance, another vehicle is having trouble there. Finally, on the PIE towards the airport at the TPE congestion, another vehicle has broken down, causing quite a bit of backup to Tampines Avenue 5. If you spot anything at all, it's 8855 0920.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. This morning we are so happy to have with us Minister Josephine Teo. I love you, by the way, Minister.
Wow.
A lot.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. And, I just want to ask you for your opinion. Over the years, how much stronger have Singapore women become? Because a friend of mine came up to me the other day to say, Singaporean women are very intelligent, very hard to please them. He's looking for a wife, and he's thinking like maybe he should marry a foreigner and not a Singaporean.
Yeah, he doesn't sound very happy with women being intelligent.
It's like so hard to please them. The expectations are so high. But, this is how we've, brought up our next generations, right? To basically have high expectations.
Yes.
Higher standards.
Higher standards, and however, I think women still give ourselves a very hard time because the expectations we have also apply to ourselves.
Yes.
And that can be very punishing. I can't tell you how many times I've said to younger colleagues that you have to cut yourself some slack. You've got to be able to forgive yourself for the mistakes that you make. You've got to be able to say, this is just part of my learning. And you've really got to learn how to not judge yourself so much.
Right.
Because there is already so much of that stuff
Outside,
around you.
yeah.
And if you don't learn to love yourself, you don't learn to take care of yourself, then you're in for a very hard time. That's what I keep saying to them. I know it's very difficult. I can imagine a young person, entering the workforce today, and they think about the education that they've had. They think about all the stuff that their parents, put in. And then they think about, all the very, very, successful women out there. And they say, no, I need to be like that too. And they exert a lot of pressure on themselves. So yes, we've become stronger, but we've also put ourselves under
a lot of pressure.
lot more pressure. That's the thing.
I agree. I mean, it doesn't help that social media is constantly saying you have to look like this and you have to be like that and you have to weigh this much and you have to have 5 children at the same time and hold an executive position. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just all that.
Yes.
It's still that perfect woman ideal that men seem to have in their heads, and then
Maybe you guys have it too. I don't know.
Do you? I mean, men-
do you have that expectation of yourself?
of yourself, pressures on yourself to be a certain way, to
What do you
look a
think?
certain way.
Make a guess. You've been working with me for quite a
For
while.
yourself, I think you don't really care about what people think, obviously.
Correct.
Yeah, but you still, at the same time, care about yourself.
Of course.
So he puts enough effort into pleasing himself.
I please
Which is-
myself a lot. I love myself. Okay. Self-consuming sometimes, I think. No. Not that bad. That's the image that I put out.
But then, like to guys, I've heard before. Like for example, there was this community leader. He's quite senior, and his son is doing very, very well. His son is doing exceedingly well, but so is his daughter-in-law.
Okay.
So then one day he complained to me. He says that, my son is also doing all the housework, And I'm thinking to myself, anything wrong with that?
Isn't that great?
But for him, that's like not quite the thing that he hopes to see for his son.
Because it's
I
the woman's
see.
duties.
Yeah.
Then cannot. Singaporean women
No.
these days, no.
Absolutely not.
You're not
It's
going to
only
get that.
fair to share what.
We appreciate a man who picks up
Of
his own
course,
stuff
yeah.
after himself.
However, nowadays when you go around, you do see a lot of younger daddies and they have the kids in their arms.
Yes.
And you also hear about them being the ones to take leave,
Yeah.
being the ones, I have to say, if you go to the hospital, you see who's taking seniors for checkups and so
Checkups,
on.
the men.
Increasingly, you see sons,
Sons.
Yeah,
That's
it's not
great.
just their spouses. So you also see a lot of sons, and I do know of male colleagues, male friends who have said, "I'm taking a year out because my mom is very unwell or my dad is very unwell." So that speaks to the change that you're talking about, and
Yeah.
actually, a lot of women know that men are our allies. You're not our enemies. So whether dads are supportive of your career choices,
Yeah.
whether spouses are happy to chip in. Brothers, my brothers too.
Yeah.
My dad was not well. It was really my brothers who visited him a lot more often than I did, and then took him for checkups and also the follow-on treatments and so on. So I'm very grateful to my brothers too, bros, in case you haven't heard me say that.
We were just talking about that terminology. Maybe we can continue that conversation on the Big Show TV.
All right. It's 8:25.
Kiss 92 Time Check brought to you.
So we were just talking just before you came in, Minister Teo, about the term bro. Okay, because Glenn brought it up.
And this was Juliana, one of
Juliana,
our
yeah,
owls.
yeah.
You know, she brought this topic up, and boom, everyone was on it. You know,
Yeah. So she basically asked, what is the female equivalent of the term bro?
Oh, that's easy for me.
What is it?
Because in the labor movement, we just used to say sisters and brothers.
Okay, so sister or
Sister.
sis.
Yeah,
Okay,
sis.
yeah, and I think she kind of stayed away from the sis part
Yeah.
of it, you know, because
Okay, you gotta
I
cue
don't
me
like
in.
being called sis.
Okay.
I don't like it, you know.
very hard to please, Angel.
stop
Actually,
it.
this cannot, that cannot, everything is a cannot.
But now women and men are both being called bros.
Is it?
Yes, the
Really?
millennials are saying bro.
Okay, that's new to
bro.
me.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it came up just now. She said something. I'm like, yeah, okay, bro.
And I said, "What did you just call me, bro?" And I'm like, "No, don't call me, bro."
But I do think it's the perfect what do you call term to use
Yeah,
for
How would you
In a
feel if I
casual
called
setting.
you sis?
no lah.
Yeah, why? Why?
That's not trending.
But, okay.
Nobody calls
Maybe-
bros sis.
Since when
But
were
the other way
women
around.
called bros? That's my point.
You see what I mean?
You see, that is my point.
But you think too much, like you.
No, what do you mean? It's just such a simple thought, though. How come I can't?
She's
call
like
you
she's
sis?
the you know what? No, she's the I'm woman. Hear me roar.
perfect for today's topic.
But what do you
Girl
think?
is on fire.
She is.
Yes.
But what do you think? You think it's not okay? Let's not call it appropriate or inappropriate. Bro for a girl, if they're calling them that, we can call them sis as well. No.
I actually I like being a
see,
woman.
see? Right?
You know, so
Yeah.
let's just give you an example. It's very funny because in the constituency we got a lot of shirts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And people are used to having the advisor, the MP being a male. So they've always made these shirts in a male cut. So then when I showed up and I said that, look, you know, I don't make you wear a woman's cut. So why do you make me wear a men's cut? So I said, you know, in consideration of all the grassroots leaders who are women, let's also make a shirt that is a woman's cut.
Yeah.
I think it is okay to accept each other, you know, for how we see ourselves.
Yeah.
So I don't have a very strong feeling about, you know, how I'm addressed. But I like being a woman. I like wearing a shirt with a woman's cut.
Yeah, for sure, and not having to
I
be
like the
labeled.
woman's cut
Yeah.
better because it fits
Oh,
better
I
as
see.
well.
Okay.
Yeah, rather than, you know, I mean, wearing a baggy shirt. Do you have a woman's cut
I have a woman's cut, yeah.
for station T?
Yes, but nowadays it's all baggy, right?
Not all the ladies like the woman's cut.
Of
Some
course.
of them are more comfortable. I think it's okay lah. We can be more relaxed about
and to
these
have
things.
that freedom to wear whatever you want.
Yes, make that choice available. Yeah. So far, what do people call me? Yeah, they call me Josephine. Yeah, that's okay. Oh yes, some of them spell my name as the male Joe.
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 Yeah.
That's okay with me too lah.
Yeah. That's all right.
If I bump into you outside, I'll call you Joe. But
Please do.
settings like this, I cannot help it.
Why not,
I can't help myself.
It's
I'm so
protocol.
professional. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's protocol.
It's like minister means minister, but outside I'll go like, hi Joe.
Sure, of course.
Okay.
Anytime.
I got permission.
Even
Outside,
in
our
here, you
bosses are
should.
just waiting for you to make that mistake. No, we can't. So, okay, tell us about the role models. I know you mentioned your mom-in-law, but anyone outside of family that has really played a big part in how they've influenced you.
In the labor movement.
Okay.
I remember she just passed last year.
I'm sorry.
Sister Huang Lang. I've spoken about her before. When I went into the unions, I got to meet all kinds of fascinating people. But this woman really, left such a deep impression in me. She had been a seamstress. So she used to work in garment factories, and they probably used to dot this area. And I remember one occasion, just a week before Chinese New Year of 2008, this was global financial crisis, and there was one particular factory that was going to let go of 700 people. And what a pillar of strength she was. And then when time came for her company to start retrenching people, she said to me, let everybody else go. Let me be the last to go. Now, at first blush, you might think, so selfish, Anna. She wants to keep her job for as long as, it was available. But I realized subsequently why she wanted that. Because when a company starts retrenching people, they start paying out benefits. And the more they have paid out, the less they have for the remaining workers. And she had seen this before. So Sister Huang Lang said to me, I want to be the last to go. Because she knew that by the time they got to her, they probably had very little to give out by way of retrenchment benefits. And that was the kind of person she was. And she was such self-sacrificing union leader. And that to me, for this woman who never went to university, never had big titles, and in fact, frankly speaking, I don't even know whether she finished high school, secondary school, but she had the spirit of a leader in her. She always had it in her. And I think it was also thanks to the fact that we have a labor movement as we do in Singapore that she was able to demonstrate this sort of leadership. And that was always a reminder of how you want to create opportunities in the community for leaders like that to shine.
Yeah.
They don't occupy, positions of great stature necessarily, but they have it in them.
Right.
They have it in them to do something so positive, so remarkable.
Yeah.
So uplifting.
Yeah.
Leaders are born, right?
Leaders
She
are
had it
definitely
in her.
born.
Yeah, she had it in her. And so I was so sad when she left us last year.
Sorry to hear
Sounds like
that.
a wonderful woman.
Yeah. It's like
She was.
now, Minister, you presented a white paper on Singapore's women's development in Parliament 2 years ago. It's not that often that we see this being done in other countries. And that was the first time such an initiative was rolled out in Singapore. Can you share more about the white paper and why it's important to you on air when we go back?
Sure.
Okay.
No problem at all.
Kiss 92 traffic.
If you're on the BKE traveling towards the PIE, a vehicle's broken down right before that exit. Avoid lane 1. Also, an accident has been spotted on the BKE towards the PIE before the SLE exit. So it looks like that stretch is a bit of a trouble spot. And on the PIE towards the airport, a vehicle's broken down after Kallang Way. Wherever you are this morning, stay safe.
Good morning and welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. This morning we've been speaking to Minister Josephine Teo. Once again, thank you so much, Minister, for getting up early and
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Yeah. That's very early for me.
Oh, it's even early for you, is it?
Of course.
I think
Even
we're
when I
too
go for
early.
my walks, I got another 30 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So wait, so what time do you usually wake up?
Well, if I want to squeeze in my walk, I have to be up maybe 6:45.
6:45.
Okay.
6:45.
Good.
It's a good time.
I know,
Yeah.
that's why I say I have to wake up a half an hour before that to come on your show.
I'm up. Yeah.
Then weekends when you don't have to work, do you wake up a bit later?
Weekends is when we work.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
isn't it?
They go out.
Yeah,
Hey, Glenn.
yeah, walkabouts on.
Yeah lah.
For us, it's different. For us, it's like
Yeah.
wake up early Monday
One
to
day
Friday.
it will be different for me again.
Okay, now, Minister, you presented a white paper on Singapore's women's development in Parliament 2 years ago. You did it. It's not often that we see this being done in other countries, and that was, I understand, the very first time such an initiative was rolled out in Singapore. Can you
Okay.
share more about that white paper?
Small correction, we did it because in the end about 40 MPs spoke. Yeah, 40 MPs. So it's just like almost half of Parliament. I remember that so vividly. You know why? Because the Parliament was sitting on Monday and we were going to start the motion this motion on women's development. And I had been with the then Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong on a official trip to the US. So we had a very long plane ride home. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my goodness, on arrival, I hope I don't have jet lag because I have to take Parliament through this motion. The last thing you want is you yourself crash, right? So I remember scheming how to stay awake.
Oh,
And
no.
then I remember that immediately after the last meeting that PM had, I said, okay, now I'm back to Singapore time. I remember going to bed at very early and then waking up 3 a.m. New York time to work on my speech. And then I continued like that, and I switched back to Singapore time. And then on the plane, I was actually working on the speech, and that was quite interesting because you are in this little, spot. You don't have anyone around you. You really have time to think and reflect. And what do we want to say? What are the challenges and what are the opportunities for Singapore at this stage of women's development? I mean, we've come very far. And my generation is incredibly blessed, because of the hard work of the previous generation. Then we got to do something for the next generation of girls and women, right? And so I got to thinking that there were a number of things that still was not fully satisfactory. Say what you like, we're an Asian society. And there will always be these expectations of women being very much a part of the caregiving. And you care for the kids, you care for the seniors. So on both ends, you really want to increase social support so that, the responsibilities can be borne, with a certain amount of ease. And I had been always, since day one that I entered Parliament, I wanted to do more for women when it comes to preschool support. I remember one of my earliest speeches in Parliament, bugging the ministers at that time. And then when I got into a cabinet, I got the chance to do it. And that was very satisfying, bringing about a change in the preschool landscape. And I thought to myself, as a working mom, why would I want to have kids if I can't be sure that my children will have the best care, from a very young age? And if I'm not there to provide it, then how can I be assured? So preschool was a big thing for me. And then now as the population ages, you can see that a lot of caregivers, including the men, will find it incredibly difficult to also, extend their support to their parents. So elderly care.
Yeah.
That's also something that we need to do. So we decided that a number of important things that you now see materializing. When you hear about the budget, when you hear about Prime Minister talking about introducing caregiver support grant and this and that, a lot of it came from that paper. A lot of it came from the advocacy that the women did. And it's actually, I must also give credit to the male MPs, all who spoke up in support of strengthening these kinds of infrastructure as well as services, so that caregivers can have an easier time, can also have rest, can also pursue their interests, pursue their professional development.
Right.
So we did a lot of that. There was one other thing that bugged me when I was Manpower Minister, which was that if you look at people who had grievances at the workplace, seniors had grievances because they felt there was age discrimination. A lot of working mothers felt discriminated against from the time that they got pregnant. So these were the two main groups. And so even when I was there, towards the tail end of COVID, I got my team to start thinking about new legislation for workplace fairness. And I'm so glad that it got passed last year. So there's workplace fairness legislation that came from that white paper also. So caregiver support, both for preschool, both for seniors, and then also workplace fairness. I think those were the two big things. And that's not all, really. I think at the end of the day, we want everyone, not just women, to feel that they can pursue their life's aspirations. They have the opportunities to do so. Education allows that to happen, but it's a whole lot more than that's needed.
Of course.
It's just because you're educated, just because you have the skills under your belt, Those
Under your belt.
yeah, back to that. The world is changing so quickly. So how do you help everyone keep up? That's what we need to do.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Minister, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Oh,
It's been
I
a
just
great
wanted to
pleasure.
ask you, you noticed that FD is not here?
Yeah.
You know why he's not here? Too
Golf.
old. So I said, get him out here.
Ageism in the workplace.
Glenn, your turn will come, huh?
Sooner than you
Just
think.
joking, just joking. That's not the reason. Absolutely not.
Say hi to FD, okay?
Yeah, he's on 91.3 right now.
All right.
Right down the hallway.
Helping
Okay,
them out.
okay, I'll go wait.
Yeah, for
making
sure.
them stronger over
Of
there.
course.
You know, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us
Thank you.
today.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure having you on the show, and I'm
Thank
glad
you,
that
Angel. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you,
I'm glad I
Minister.
caught you this time around.
Yep.
Yes.
See you some other time, okay?
Thank
Take
you
care.
so much,
Take care.
Minister. We've been speaking to Minister Josephine Teo, Minister for Digital Development and Information, and Minister in charge of Smart Nation and Cybersecurity.